Let me paint a picture. You open your investment app. You see your portfolio sitting at $12,483. You do some quick math in your head. Okay, if I somehow got this to $1,000,000, I could live off it, right? Then you think, but how does that actually work? Does it just sit there? Does it grow? How fast? Can you really withdraw money without running out? And somewhere in the back of your mind, you're thinking, is $1 million even enough anymore? If you've ever wondered that, this video is literally for you. My name is Ethan, and I spend way too much time thinking about compounding, financial independence, and the math behind retirement. If you're someone who wants to build real wealth but feels confused about how investing actually turns into income, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Today we're breaking down how fast $1 million actually grows, what the 4% rule really means, whether it still works today, and what most people completely misunderstand about it. And look, we're going to keep this simple, but we're also going to keep it real. First, let's challenge the big assumption. Most people think, if I hit $1,000,000, I'm rich. Here's the thing. $1 million invested is powerful, but it's not magic. According to historical data from the S&P 500, the average annual return over the long term has been about 10% before inflation, and roughly 7% after inflation. That distinction matters, because $1 million growing at 10% sounds like $100,000 per year. That sounds incredible. But after adjusting for inflation, closer to $70,000 in real purchasing power. Still great. But now we're grounded in reality. And this is where it gets really interesting. What the 4% rule actually is. The 4% rule comes from something called the Trinity study. Researchers looked at historical market data and asked, if someone retired with a diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds, how much could they withdraw each year without running out of money over 30 years? The answer? About 4% per year adjusted for inflation. So with $1 million invested, 4% equals $40,000 per year, not $100,000. Not unlimited withdrawals. $40,000. And that $40,000 increases with inflation each year. Now you might be thinking, wait, that's it. Yeah, that's it. But here's what most people don't realize. The 4% rule isn't about stopping growth. It's about withdrawing in a way that still allows your money to grow over time. And that's where the power is. Let's do the simple math. Imagine this. You have $1 million invested in a portfolio earning an average of 7% annually after inflation. Year 1 growth at 7%. $70,000. If you withdraw $40,000, your portfolio still grew by $30,000. You now have $1,030,000. You just paid yourself $40,000. And you're richer than when you started. That's insane. But it's real. Now, markets aren't perfectly smooth. Some years are up 20%. Some years are down 15%. But over long stretches, the math works surprisingly well. The psychological shift. This is where it gets powerful. When you're building toward $1 million, everything feels slow. You're contributing. You're saving. You're grinding. But once you hit that number, your money starts producing the equivalent of a full-time income. Without you. And psychologically, that changes everything. You go from, I need to earn money, to, my money earns money. That identity shift is massive. But is $40,000 enough? Now you might be thinking, okay, Ethan, $40,000 a year doesn't exactly scream luxury. Correct. The 4% rule doesn't promise luxury. It promises sustainability. It's designed to survive worst-case historical scenarios, like retiring right before a market crash. In fact, the Trinity study tested retirees who began in terrible market conditions, including the Great Depression and the 1970s inflation crisis. And 4% still held up in most scenarios over 30 years. That's conservative. Which means in many cases, retirees actually ended up with more than they started with. This is where people get confused. They assume withdrawing money means their balance must steadily decline. But historically, many portfolios grew substantially even while withdrawals were happening. How fast does $1 million grow without withdrawals? Let's flip the script. Say you don't withdraw anything. At 7% annual growth. In 10 years, $1 million becomes about $1,967,000. Nearly double. In 20 years? About $3.87 million. That's the compounding effect most people underestimate. Here's what most people don't realize. The second million often comes faster than the first, because growth becomes larger than contributions. The real risk, sequence of returns. Now we need to talk about something adults avoid. Sequence of returns risk. If you retire and the market crashes 30% in year one, and you're withdrawing money at the same time, you're selling assets while they're down. That's dangerous. This is why allocation matters. This is why cash buffers matter. This is why blindly applying the 4% rule without strategy can be reckless. But applied intelligently, it's powerful. Why most people misuse the 4% rule. 3 big mistakes. They assume it guarantees permanent wealth regardless of behavior. They ignore taxes. They forget lifestyle flexibility. The 4% rule assumes diversified investments, periodic rebalancing, inflation adjustments, flexibility in spending during downturns. It's not autopilot. It's a framework. The bigger insight. Here's the part that surprises people. The 4% rule implies something bigger. If you need $80,000 per year to live comfortably, you don't need to be rich. You need $2 million invested. Because 4% of $2 million equals $80,000. Financial independence becomes math. Not emotion. Not vibes. Math. And that makes it achievable. Why this feels so far away? Let's talk psychology. $1 million sounds impossible. But if you invest $1,000 per month at 8% annually, in 25 years, you're at about $950,000. In 26 years, you cross $1 million. It's time and consistency. But humans are terrible at visualizing exponential growth. We expect linear progress. Investing is not linear. It's slow, then sudden. A simple analogy. Think of planting a tree. For years, it looks like nothing is happening. Then one day it's taller than your house. The $1 million mark isn't magic because of the number. It's magic because of what it represents. Critical mass. Once you hit it, the engine is powerful enough to sustain itself. What about inflation? Yes, inflation matters. That's why the 4% rule already accounts for inflation in its historical modeling. The 7% real return assumption already subtracts average inflation. That's why $40,000 isn't $40,000 forever. It rises with inflation. Action plan. What to do now? If you're not at $1 million yet, don't obsess over the million. Focus on the next milestone. $10,000, $50,000, $100,000, $250,000. Because compounding becomes noticeable around $100,000 plus. And dramatic past $500,000. Automate investing. Increase contributions with raises. Keep costs controlled. Avoid panic selling. That's it. No secret hacks. No crypto lottery tickets. Consistency wins. Final perspective. $1 million invested doesn't mean you stop thinking. It doesn't mean you stop being intentional. But it does mean this. Your money can grow by tens of thousands of dollars per year without your labor. And that's freedom. Not yachts. Not Lumbos. Freedom. The freedom to choose work. The freedom to step back. The freedom to say no. That's what the 4% rule really represents. Not a withdrawal rate. A turning point. If this helped you understand how wealth actually works, hit the like button so more people stop misunderstanding investing. Subscribe for practical, no-hype financial education. And comment below. What number would make you feel financially free? Because once you understand the math, it stops feeling impossible. I'll see you in the next one.